Hello! In this edition of Retail Companies Are the Worst Thing Ever, I'm going to be taking a look at Lowe's and how their employee base is holding up. From what I know, Lowe's is among the list of corporations that turn their in-store ACs off during the summer, in the name of saving money. Yet we all know their corporate associates are working in air-conditioned offices, or possibly even in the comfort of their own home. Lowe's is known to write their employees up for small reasons or no reason, sometimes without the employee's knowledge, and by that I mean they just forge the employee's signature on write-ups. Recently, Camelot331 posted a video where a 67-year-old female Lowe's employee was fired for trying to stop a trio of thieves who proceeded to beat her up, leaving a black eye. Imagine being assaulted, then being fired from your job because your employer doesn't approve of you trying to play the hero. That alone is enough to dismiss Lowe's as a place that isn't worth working for. The woman from that particular store would have gladly fallen on a pike for the company, and this is how she's repaid? If it was me, I would have let the thieves go. But not just because maybe the thieves desperately need the item, but just don't have the money, but because Lowe's can afford to make up the loss. The company's annual revenue sits at just over $72 billion as of 2020. CEO Marvin R. Ellison's salary is $1.45 million, which ends up totaling to as high as $11 million when factoring in bonuses, stock awards, and other goodies. The man's net worth being $30 million. According to Indeed, Lowe's starts their cashiers at $13 an hour, so their wage is okay, that is, if you don't have any immediate financial obligations such as a phone bill, a car insurance bill, rent, and utility bills. It's nothing that will actually sustain a living, even if you're working 40 hours a week, especially when prices are outrageously high on everything, and are only continuing to increase. Lowe's does not pay their employees enough for them to risk their lives, especially when we've seen how Lowe's treats workers that try to protect company assets, the private property. Today I'm going to look into other ways Lowe's lowers incentive for faithfulness to the company, and how they keep employee morale low. And to do this, I'm going to look at the Reddit community r Lowe's. First off, we have an employee that has just observed their 10th anniversary with the company. Their post reads, "I had my 10-year anniversary this month. The new award system for anniversaries really shafts people. If I had my 10-year anniversary last year, I could have had a decent gift. Fast forward 1 year and I get next to nothing. 200 points uninvested. It's nice to see how valued my life is." A common complaint that retail employees have is a lack of reward for their loyalty to their employer. My first real job was at a grocery store of the Country Mart chain. I worked there for just over 2 years, being paid minimum wage. The entire time I worked there, I was paid $7.25 an hour and only got 2 weeks off the entire time I worked there, of which a good chunk was paid sick time, if I recall correctly. When I hit my 2-year anniversary, I got a silver pin and a card from corporate thanking me for 2 years of service. I kind of would have preferred a raise or a bonus at least, or maybe some more time off. Marvin Ellison left JCPenney and went to Lowe's to be their CEO in 2018. Lowe's does not promote from within the company and keeps their entry-level workers at as low a position and pay as possible with little reward for hard work. It's especially depressing when people throw years, decades of their life away for a soul-crushing job that yields so little reward, whereas they could have spent that time learning a new skill or becoming an artist or even just observing society like I do, and doing something other than stand behind a register all day or slave away stocking merchandise in sweltering heat. Maybe this person is still young, but even to those that are aging, do yourselves a favor and do something better with your lives. Something that might actually let you enjoy the fruits of your labor. Next post is an employee seeking advice on reporting an admin. It reads, "Scheduling staffing admin was disrespecting and mocking a coworker that was dealing with family issues involving a death. I want to report her, but I don't know how." There's a joke that goes around in the anti-corporate community, and that is, if you're working in retail and you die on the job or you experience a death in the family and have to take time off for bereavement, your boss will literally follow you to the gravesite and just throw the write-up in your face. What normal human being sees someone grieving over a death in the family and goes, "Boo-hoo, cry me a river, you baby"? Grow the fuck up, man. Nobody should be expected to prioritize work over family, and anyone that says otherwise deserves to be called out for it. That said, the higher-ups might not care, and even agree with the admin, but under no circumstances should declining or being denied bereavement be normalized. This last one is titled, "Can I do anything about this?" We have an attachment that shows their schedule for the day. The post reads, "They're expecting me to open and close my department and cover plumbing for 2 hours. I don't get paid to run 2 departments. Is there anything I can do to change this or prevent this from happening in the future? I've already told them 8 to 7s don't work for me, and we had a good thing going. I was on 5:30 to 4:30, and a coworker of mine was 2 to 11. He's still 2 to 11, but they keep doing this to me. It's one thing to have to work 10-hour, 11-hour shifts. I've done it before. When I was working at Country Mart, I was working in the deli department and once had to work from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. All because, we'll just call her dumbass, forgot she was supposed to work that day. It's okay, she was a bitch anyway. She still works there too, unfortunately. But anyway, I got stuck working an 11-hour shift, and my boss was at a funeral. Deli workers there are basically prohibited from taking a lunch because the company doesn't want more than 2 people working the rush hours for some stupid reason. That said, we were allowed to take 2 15-minute breaks, which I didn't take because back then I cared too much about the job. In a job like Lowe's though, I can't imagine not taking a lunch. That said, it kind of looks like they're running a skeleton crew, rendering it impossible to actually take a lunch. 10+ hour shifts are torture regardless of the circumstances. We all just want to do our job and go home. I can't imagine the disappointment of getting the schedule and seeing that I'm going to be working open to close, alone, no breaks, no lunch, and even doing extra work outside of your department. Basically doing 2 jobs for the price of 1, because we all know Lowe's isn't going to pay double. Country Mart sure as hell didn't when I was working meat one night and had to fill in for someone in deli that was supposed to work the evening shift. So I get it. Trust me, people that stand with corporations often propagate that hard work yields reward, not knowing that workers, especially those in retail, as well as food service, are almost never rewarded, or at least not proportionally. If you're doing 2 separate tasks, or working 2 separate stations or departments, that should yield twice the pay, but for some reason corporations don't see it that way. Companies often have to pay their employees overtime if they work over 40 hours a week. Because of that, retail companies especially don't want their employees working more than 40 hours a week. And even if an employee does work overtime, the company almost never pays appropriate compensation. If an employee hits that 40-hour mark consistently, the employer often must offer health insurance, retirement plans, paid time off, and other perks. And yet, even though I was putting in 40 hours a week at Brahms, they rostered me as a part-time employee. Being with a company for 5+ years yields almost no reward. In fact, you are more likely to get fired than recognized for your efforts. And you're often switched out for someone younger and easier to exploit and take advantage of. Your retail career means nothing unless you're a manager or a corporate associate, or have friends in high places. Now, a message to all Lowe's associates. If you haven't already, I want you to research labor unions. You've probably been told, either by a manager or a corporate associate or by some actor in a CBL video, that unions make false promises and seek to restrict your rights as a worker. Everything they've told you about unions is a lie. Unions, if acting in good faith, can make Lowe's corporate turn the goddamn AC back on. But also, they can ensure better hours, better wages, better staffing, better job security, health insurance, and paid time off, just to name a few perks. The only reason your employee, in this case Lowe's, doesn't want you to get a union involved in the workplace is because it'll be bad for their wallets, not yours. Lowe's wants to milk you for as much value as possible, and as a result, they'll often pay you as little as possible to do as much work as possible. With a union around, Lowe's would not be able to just wrongfully terminate you or discriminate against you through at-will employment. Lowe's would not be able to just make you work 39 hours a week, so that way you're working just below the threshold of being eligible for full-time. With a union, any overtime worked is rewarded with an extra few dollars an hour. You may even just get a bonus for working the holidays. If every Lowe's store were to begin organizing for unionization, corporate wouldn't be able to stop it just by closing a few stores down. They might do that at first as a fear tactic, but unless they were to close all 2,181 stores, which they won't do, they would be met with negotiation tables at every turn. Do not relent. Once unionization has been achieved, celebrate the small victory, but continue researching how else you can further your emancipation as a worker. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where I'm going to stop. If you like this video and would like to see more like it, please be sure to click thumbs up, share the video far and wide, leave any horror stories you have from working at Lowe's or elsewhere in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe to help grow this channel. Click the bell to get notified whenever I upload a new video, and if you'd like to get some exclusive goodies or just help me stave off poverty, you can become a contributor to my Patreon for just $3 a month. You'll get access to high-quality image files of my artworks. By the time you guys see this, I will have at least begun developing an alternate history scenario in which the events of the Elder Scrolls video game series, particularly Skyrim, are based on true events in ancient Scandinavian history. Also, for the metal fans, I plan on writing my first black metal album for a release in either autumn or early winter. I'm aiming for kind of a Children of Bodom music style with themes of existential terror. So if that sounds interesting to you, a link to my Patreon will be in the description. But thank you guys for watching, and I'll be back next week for another video. Bye guys.